Hey, Fourth Gear fans. Jim Cruzy here back for another Fourth Gear episode. Appreciate all the support we've got from you so far and have listened to what you wanted to see and learn about. One of the things that I've heard from you about is collectibles and stuff that happens around the cars, not just the cars themselves. So I'm really happy today to have Bob Broadwater with us from Collectibles Insurance Services out of let's just say Philadelphia, in that area. Bob, you can correct me later if you want to. But I think this will be a very good, informative little podcast that I think a lot of you folks may not have thought about before. So if we can ring a bell or two, that would be great. And speaking of a bell, if you haven't done so already, if you could hit that subscribe button, that tells us that you like the content. We're going to try to bring more of it to you. We're trying to hit that 5,000 subscriber mark here by the end of the year, just a couple weeks away. So it'd be great if you could do that. So with that, Bob, I'm going to throw it to you. If you could introduce yourself and kind of what you do at Collectible Insurance Services, or I'll say CIS, because otherwise it's a big mouthful for me. I tongue-tied. I'll throw it over to you and welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Really appreciate you having me on today. Bob Broadwater. I lead our Collectibles Insurance Services team. We are based right outside of Philadelphia. I have been leading this team and business for about 9 years now. However, the Collectibles Insurance Services company has been around for about 60 years. So our sales team and underwriters, they're not new to this. They all have hobbies and collections of their own and really enjoy learning about what people have and how best we can insure them and help them out.
So I have a question right off the bat.
Mhm.
60 years is how long the company's been in business.
It has been.
So So what did
I
you
was,
collect? What did people collect 60 years ago? I mean, you may or may not know that. I just curious.
it was started by a rare stamp dealer who
Oh,
him and his buddies had very difficult time placing coverage for their
yeah.
stamp dealing business. It was really niche, and he basically sold insurance to his friends and to customers at stamp shows. And it existed as a stamp collection insurance agency for a while, and then over the years was acquired and appetite expanded to insure all kinds of things. But that was the original start.
That's amazing. Well, you know what? Necessity is the mother of invention, I guess they say. And
Hmm.
if he
Yeah.
saw an opportunity and needed it, and wow, and 60 years later, it's still going. In general, kind of high level, what are you seeing today from a collectible standpoint? We'll get to the car stuff here in a little bit, but just in general, the marketplace, like what are people collecting today?
All kinds of things. It historically, again, it started with stamps, antiques, coins, other rare items. And over the past, I'd say 15 years or so, we've expanded and we've seen tremendous increase in folks collecting sports memorabilia,
Oh, yeah.
comic books, comic art. The success of the Marvel franchise has really driven those comic books from the 40s, 50s, 60s. If they're in mint condition, much like a baseball card, they're worth quite a bit of money now. We see art. Obviously, art never goes away. Less coins and stamps these days,
Yeah.
but we see antique firearms, war memorabilia is a popular one. Automotive memorabilia is growing. I would say the fastest growing one, though, and most recently, has been in the sports space.
Yeah. So this is another question with because we're seeing it in the car industry. What car collecting has changed dramatically in the last 20 years, what people are collecting compared to today. Are you seeing in the industry kind of a change of guard when you say sports memorabilia and that's hot? It makes sense with online gambling, all these things, then football. I mean, there's so much access to these things now. I mean, are you seeing like stamps, which started the industry, the business, maybe take a back seat to newer things, or how does that look today?
They are, yes. The valuations of some of those things that stamps, antiques, we haven't seen as much movement in that space. Fewer fewer people getting into the hobby.
Yeah.
Valuations haven't moved a whole lot. If anything, they've gone down with fewer people
Yep.
getting into the hobby. And newer hobbies like sports, we've seen valuations take off. So folks, they might not be changing their collection, but in terms of insurance, they're constantly having to reevaluate to make sure their coverage is set to the current market value for what they have.
Yeah.
So it is a moving target.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is always interesting how um, you assume things are static and what you like will always be loved. That's not necessarily the case. As a car collector myself, my passion are turn of the century, pre 1915 cars, and restored some, had a great time with them. But then that's not what's popular today. It's just the way it is. It's exotic cars and Porsches and Lamborghinis and newer things. But yeah, definitely things change. So I'm not surprised to hear that from a collectible perspective as well. That it changes too. Um, we'll dive into kind of what is important to our customer base and other people that might be out there watching who like cars. I guess the technical term is petrolina. Is that what you would call the world of automotive collectible stuff?
It is that, or we'll say Petroliana or
Great.
automotive collectibles. We've seen more recently, and the values have increased. We see antique gas pumps. Uh, we've seen pictures of people who have quite elaborate setups. I mean, it's beautiful. They'll have a barn repurposed, antique gas pumps, their car in the middle, antique signage all around, and basically all the paraphernalia, if you will, that supports the automotive passion.
Yeah, the automobile collectors in general. It's interesting because if you're like I say, if you're a wine collector, you don't own the vineyard. If you're a car collector, you kind of own the vineyard of the cars and you buy everything that's associated with it, which can be quite a broad bit of stuff. And people like to obviously decorate their barns, their homes. Every place there's a spare shelf, a toy car or whatever. What do you see in there from a automotive collectible standpoint? I mean, I've got friends that collect Hot Wheels, and some of those can be incredibly pricey for the rare ones. Obviously artwork and things, but what are you seeing from the automotive world that people are insuring right now?
They will have classic toys, so
Yeah.
that is certainly a segment we see quite a bit of. A lot of it is the signs and the pumps. They
Okay.
tend to be where we see the highest values. Some related to artwork,
Okay.
some even racing memorabilia will have some high values as well. But I would say from a lot of folks don't realize those signs and antique pumps and all are not going to be covered under a homeowner's policy.
Yep.
They just won't. And certainly if they are at all, not to their current market value. And that's really where we focus our niche in targeting. Obviously, people have spent tons of time,
Yep.
a lot of investment in acquiring the collection. And we're fortunate to be able to learn about their collection and provide that peace of mind that sits outside a typical personal lines policy.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad you're here today because I can tell you in my universe of car friends, when I'll go in their barns or whatever and out, I'm the insurance guy, right? So you have to ask the question, what are you doing with this stuff? And most of them are like, oh, I've had that stuff for 20 years, whatever, it's no big deal, not realizing how popular and the values that they have there. And the other assumption is, like you just said, it's got to be covered on my homeowner's policy. My agent told me it was. Okay, that's I'm not so sure that's true, but and that might be part of the reason why you see other collectibles more often than you do automotive stuff. I mean, it's in the garage. People don't think about it. What like for let's just say me, I've got $10,000 worth of toys. Like, what's a premium cost for a collection, or what goes into that process?
It's surprisingly inexpensive
Okay.
given the value being insured. $10,000 worth of toys, $150
Oh,
in
wow.
annual premium. A very typical collector for us would have $50,000 worth of memorabilia, pay $600 a year annually in premium, and that will cover it against your typical causes of loss: accidental breakage, fire, water, theft. Uh, a couple attractive additional coverages are shipping and transit exposures.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, and many people, that's where they have the greatest concern. I spent all this money, it's en route,
Yeah.
breaks en route, stolen, what have you. That's where they really particularly see the peace of mind from what we're able to offer. But
Which is important. There's a lot of people you'll see if you go to some shows, they'll actually set up along with their car some things that of the era, artwork, awards, things like that that can be very valuable. Hood ornaments, whatever it might be. So that kind of stuff would also be covered in transit and things like that as well. Is that how
it
that
would be,
works?
yeah,
Oh,
yes,
that's
yeah, it would be, and that's a really nice feature of the product. Because again, once it's people do a great job taking care of things at their home, but
yeah.
when they're moving it around, when they're going to a show or mailing something, that's when the concern is heightened.
Sure, sure. Okay, so the big question is, you've taken my money, I've got a policy, and now I have a claim. What happens then? I mean, that's always the $100 question.
The settlement will be for market value at the time of loss. So it doesn't
Okay.
matter that you spent, $5,000 on an item 20 years ago, but today it's worth 25,000. The settlement will
Okay.
be for 25,000. So that is a key difference between, say, a homeowner's policy and
Yeah.
what we're doing here with the current market value. We'll ask for evidence of ownership, typically pictures. Very few people have transactional records unless it's a recent purchase, nor do we expect that. We'll ask for pictures, some other evidence of ownership. We do ask for that at time of underwriting as well. So we hopefully will have that already on file. Just we'll ask about what happened. More often than not, it's a theft or accidental breakage.
Yep.
We've seen the gas pumps, for example, fall over, globe on the top breaks. Common. That is, will then there are some marketplaces online will be able to work with the insured. We'll take the insured's value, do a sanity check there, and then we'll issue a check for um, the lost item, whether it's a partial loss or total loss, to
Got it.
replace the item.
So that's interesting. So your valuation is not what they paid for it. It's what it's
Mm-mm.
actually worth at the time of
Yep.
loss. So that's a little bit different than on our industry where it's agreed value. So when the policy is written, if we insure a car for $10,000, that's all they're going to be paid in the event of a loss. And that car could be worth more. But if they never change the value, that's all they're going to get. Sometimes it can be worth less and they're still going to get that 10. But by going with the market value, like you're saying right there, they're guaranteed to get what that item is worth at the time of loss, no matter what they paid for it.
That's correct.
Good.
Obviously, as long as they have an appropriate policy limit,
Sure.
we'll pay up to that. The only space we really do agreed value is in art. They'll
Okay.
have folks will send in appraisals and they're very specific with that value. So we don't require appraisals on any of our collectibles. If
Good.
someone is seeking agreed value, very rare in this case, but then we would ask for appraisals, and we can do agreed value. It's just the
Okay.
exception versus the norm. More often, folks settle for market value, understanding that the valuations typically move.
So that saves money there as well, too, because you're not
It
paying
does.
a professional to come in and categorize and do the history and all that kind of stuff. Oh no, that's really good. Um, from a just one safety tip, if you could advise somebody just I've got a book collection or whatever, what's one thing that you could advise somebody to be aware of in their home that they may not be aware of from a potential damage or a loss situation? What might that be?
Yeah, the nice thing about automotive collectibles is they're probably the most durable things we
That's
insure.
true.
Because when I'm talking to baseball card folks,
Oh,
comics folks, all of those, the answer is attic, basement, garage. If you store it there, make sure it's climate protected.
yeah,
We don't have that issue as much with this stuff. This stuff, it comes to how is it stored? Is it in piles in a storage facility somewhere, or
yeah,
is it say, maintained in a barn or garage. We don't also typically insure things that are outside. This is the one exception because we understand the gas pumps were meant to be
Yeah.
outside. So with this, we have a lot more flexibility, and we ask people when underwriting, give us pictures of your collection, so we understand what you have, and it can be a written schedule. It doesn't have to be every single item, but we want to get a sense of what we're insuring, and we ask it's how you maintain it. If I say one tip and one thing we look for with this space, it's if it is outside, is it properly secured? Obviously, gas pumps aren't going to grow feet and walk away,
Yeah.
but if it is, say, in a garage or a barn, what how is that secured? Is it locked? Is there if it's a lot of stuff and it's finished, is there a central station alarm
Okay.
that would go off in the event of fire? That would be the one less concerned with theft with this stuff, but having a central station alarm when you have all these things actively monitoring that room, you have
Yep.
your car there, you have all that stuff. That does make a big difference. We don't require it, but it is a recommendation, given how much time and investment people put into this, that they do monitor the climate
Yep.
and access
And that's
to their
good. And
stuff.
and like alarms, there's discounts typically for your insurance policy as
Mhm.
well for everything
There
else,
are.
homeowners and all those types of things. So it would basically pay for itself. So if someone wanted a policy, how long does it actually take between introduction and policy in their hands? How long does that take?
It's typically very quick.
Okay.
Collectinsure.com is us. If it's a $50,000 collection in total value and under, they can go online, get a quote, and purchase it in 10 minutes.
Okay.
If it's above that limit, or there's potentially other flags or things we need to look into, an underwriter will look at it by next, typically within the same, certainly by next business day.
Okay.
And it doesn't take more than 24 hours for a typical bind, unless it's a very extensive collection requiring some additional follow-up. A very typical insurer can get coverage within the day.
Okay. That's great. So how to purchase a policy, what you insure, potential claims, how that's handled. Have I missed anything that you'd want to throw into the mix?
No, I would say applying for it, we're not asking questions that an insured won't answer on a typical homeowner's application.
Okay.
Uh, One addition being tell us about your collection, tell us about the value. We only schedule items that have individual value of 25,000 or greater.
Okay. Got it.
Outside of that is blanket coverage. Um, but
Now,
it's
what you mean?
it's a
I'm
fair
gonna stop. What you mean by
yes.
schedule is that means it's listed. That item is listed on a
We list that
form.
item on the policy
Okay.
and the value. So if somebody has say something very, $100,000 item, very
Yeah.
rare, we'll list what that is and the current market value on the policy.
Got it. Got it. And if there's any question when that application comes in, like you said, someone would follow up with them and have an underwriter at your office would have address that with the insured at that point.
Yes, we
Okay.
would. Yeah, we'd ask for a picture of the item and just and perform the sanity check there, but we'd work with the insured to understand what they have.
Okay. Well, that's great. Um, I don't have any more questions, and I'm about out of time as well, too. Boy, this went really quick. Normally I'd shoot for 15 minutes or so, and we're a little over that, but that's okay. This is very, very informative. I really appreciate you taking the time today. And hopefully people will take advantage of CIS and what you offer because it's an important service. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So thank you very much.
No, thank you again, Jim. Appreciate you having me.